Yesterday, after market close, Meta released quarter four earnings for 2024 and had a beat in revenue and earnings per share. And during the conference call, Mark Zuckerberg alluded to strengthening the company through more efforts in AI moving forward. I'm excited to look over these numbers further and decide if Meta right now is a buy or what price it may be a buy at. What's up, y'all? My name is Trey. This is Investing by Numbers. Thanks for tuning in. We talk about stock market investment and other forms of investment. So if you're looking to learn or be more involved in the community of investment and stock investment, please like and subscribe to the video. So let's get into it. Meta, the numbers announced. So yesterday, we had an expected earnings per share of $6.74, but we reported just over $8 a share, so beating by 19% there. And revenue was expected right under $47 billion, and they reported at $48.38 billion for the quarter, almost a 3% beat there. So big question was, what was driving the beats for the fourth quarter expectations, and they really just came down to ad revenue. Ad revenue ended up being more than they expected, which is a good thing. Prices were up, and the impressions on those ads were up as well. So earnings per share, the 802 versus 674 was a 19% beat. The year-over-year earnings per share growth was 60% from the end of 2023 to the end of 2024. That's phenomenal. Year-over-year earnings per share average growth over the last 5 years, it's grown 37.8% on average year over year for the last 5 years. Great number there as well. Revenue, the $48.38 billion versus $46.99 billion, the 3% beat. So the year over year revenue growth was 21.9%. From the end of 2023 to the end of 2024. And the year-over-year revenue growth average for the last 5 years was 19% per year for the last 5 years. Also, a little recap here for the products that Meta has. A lot of people forget about all they encompass. And of course, they have the Meta Quest, the Oculus. These are kind of the same thing. It turned into the Meta Quest from the Oculus. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger app. They have the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, the WhatsApp, which is growing pretty quickly in popularity. They have Threads and Workplace. So a lot of different products that Meta has. And like we've talked about before, the more products a company has and the more users use various products across that company's platform, the more likely people will keep themselves within that ecosystem, and the more they're likely to not stray away from a certain app or product that company uses. We see that with Apple, with the iPhone and iPad and smartwatches and all that stuff. Let's look at Meta's fundamentals. I'm on macrotrends.net. For the revenue chart, we got trailing 12 months up here, and of course quarterly. Beast numbers here. They just keep growing and growing. Up and to the right is what we like to see. Net income also growing over time, up and to the right. We have a couple of valleys here, partially because the COVID boom and then the 2022 kind of crash after the COVID boom. There was a lot of situation going on there with those few years where online companies were on a mass hiring and production during this time period, and then when everything started to dry up, they kind of had to balance that out. And unfortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs after getting hired, and just kind of a up and down movement there that happened during the COVID boom and that 2022 crash. Let's check out their balance sheet. All right, looking at cash on hand. Yeah, strong cash on hand numbers. This thing is steadily growing. They're steadily increasing their cash on hand, which is an important metric for me. I like to see a company that's growing that free cash over time. And so for total assets, we have $229 billion, and total liabilities over $76 billion. Good ratio here of assets to liabilities. Long-term debt, $18 billion, and that's what would well easily be covered by their cash on hand. So Meta's really got an A+ balance sheet. And income statement, of course. I like to look on the income statement because I see a little more accurate representation of revenue growth year over year. You can kind of look at these numbers. They had, the only down year recently was 21 going to 2022. We had a small loss there in revenue. And of course, down here, the same thing for earnings per share. We had a loss. The only loss we saw in recent history was the 2021 going into 2022. Let's check out the PE ratio and the history on the PE ratio. Now so the current PE ratio is just under 29 right now. Right here, we're looking at everything from 2014 on. And really, Meta's been in a low range for PE ratio. I mean, this thing trades for what it is, in my opinion, pretty cheap. With the kind of net income growth and revenue growth they've been putting up over the last few years, I mean, this should easily trade in the 30s PE-wise, in my opinion. But, I mean, it trades where it trades. And really looking at this, we've got a couple dips in recent history. Here, 2018, it got down to the low around 17, and then of course in 2022 we got all the way down to around 13. Right here was just under 23, and recently we've gotten under 25 a little bit. For me, just looking at previous PE ratios, for me we're close, but to really feel like I was getting a good value, I'd really like to see this thing under 25. However, with Meta, I mean, being around 28, 29 and the numbers they've been putting up, I still think right now the price Meta's trading at is a good price. I'm a little conservative. I want to see a little bit more value in there. I like to push it a little bit, but for normal people that looking to buy a good company, a good stock, I think Meta's going to do really well over the years to come. Even at the PE ratio and the current price it's at, I think this thing is fair, and I do think it's a good price. I do think that Meta is a company that could easily be trading in the 30s on a normal basis, but we've seen it in the last few years really staying in the 20s. And for that reason, for me, under a 25 PE is really where I'd like to see it at. And 25 PE would be about just under $600 a share. Right now, we're around 28 PE at this 686 number. So for me, I'd like to see it under $600 a share, but I still think it's in a fair price range right now. But that's the end of this video. I hope y'all appreciated the content here. If you do, like, subscribe, comment below. I try to respond to every single comment. But on that note, we'll catch y'all on the next one.